I think we're good to go. No, you do not. Let me do that. I know you do. You got it now. I'm good to go. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your help on that one. Always, always nice to have you here, and welcome aboard again. I appreciate it. All right, well, welcome everybody. I appreciate you showing up again. Usual Wednesday mornings here, and we're going to give you another piece of information that hopefully you'll find very useful. We're going to be dealing with feature lines today, FeatureLines 101, because Civil 3D 09 in particular had some major changes in their feature lines and how they work. So we're going to show you some things like using a feature line with a corridor, parking lot design for surfaces, and pad designs. Now, somebody out there has their microphone not muted, and I hear a lot of stuff. So whoever that is, I'm not going to mention names. You can mute your mic. Thank you very much. There we go. Thank you. And so yeah, let's get into it here. And by the way, before we get into it too far here, I want to go switch over to my Civil 3D, of course, but I also want to take a little brief poll here very quickly. I want to launch this poll. Please fill this out real quick. Just a quick question for you. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds here to click on your answer. How does your company provide training? And hopefully everybody can see that. Here we go. Got just over half of you have voted, so I'm going to wait a couple more seconds. Let some of you complete that. There we go. Okay, we got quite a few of you, so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll, and I'm going to share the results just so you know how you fit in with the spectrum of training. So, yeah, 22% of you training. What training? Been there, done that. Know quite a few people who are in that position, and hopefully these webinars are helping you out. But we do have a lot of ways that we're training people these days that is making it very easily done, so to speak. I'm going to hide those results, and I have one more for you down here. There we go. One of the ways that we do this is we provide training without the requirement of travel on your part, which means you don't have any costs associated with, let's say, travel, rental car, airplanes, hotels, all of this type of information. So if you'll go ahead and click on that, yes or no for me, would that be of value to you to do this? Also, the Civil 3D Essentials class. Now, I realize most of you already use Civil 3D, and that's okay. But that Essentials class was typically 3 days in a row. And by the third day, of course, we found that a lot of people were, let's say, brain dead, and they didn't remember what they had done on the first day. So we've decided to split up that class. If you look on the website, it goes to the, let's say, 2 hours a day, twice a week for 3 weeks. You're still getting the full 3 days of training. But it's breaking it up in a fashion where you're not brain dead after the first one. So there we go. I'm going to close that poll and let you see that one. Oh, that's an excellent response. Is that of value to you? Of course it is. Yes, because you don't want to be traveling away from your family and your job, and being away for 3 days in a row is always critical to people. So nice to know that. Thank you for answering that question. And one more real quick one here. There we go. I just want to take a poll here about which one of these topics would be of most importance to you on future webinars. I've got a couple of them already scheduled rather. You can see that on my class schedule on the website. Some of these are already in the makings, and I just need to know what other ones I need to do. So good, we're getting a little more than half of you voted. That's good, and the votes keep pouring in. Very good. All right, I'm going to close that one and let you guys see the results here, just so you know how you fit in. Seems like it's kind of a split there between grading and anything related to Civil 3D. Of course, they're all related to Civil 3D, although occasionally I will throw one in for Map 3D. Of course, Civil 3D is built upon that, if you don't know that. And so that's kind of an interesting subject in itself. But anyway, managers and principals, yep, that's always a good one. It's something that I haven't seen done yet, but we're going to be doing it soon. Actually, the migrating from Land Desktop to Civil 3D is coming up as both a webinar for 1 hour and an 8-hour class eventually. So let me go ahead and hide those. I know you guys are all here to learn, but I just need to know more about what you want so I can help meet your needs a little bit better. All right, so let's go ahead and close that out and get on with life here. Oh, by the way, the reason I've gone back to, and some of you are probably questioning, why are we going back to this thing about comparing Land Desktop and Civil 3D, or managing Civil 3D and migrating from Land Desktop into Civil 3D, things like that? The reason is because, as you probably already know, 2010 is not shipped with Land Desktop. Land Desktop has gone away. Of course, you can still use it. I think Ron told me earlier that you can use it for however long you bought the subscription or something to that effect. So yeah, if you bought a 3-year subscription, you can probably use it for 3 years. There will come a day. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ron. Got it. And typically when Autodesk stops supporting a product, the dealers go right along with them and stop supporting it. So, and then you're forced to go back to people like myself who are independents to get help on it. If we can't solve the problem, then of course we have to have a disclaimer out there that says, you know what, I can't call Autodesk anymore to get help on this. So if I can't help you, I'm sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to digress there and let you know that that's what's happened, and that's the reason for the push now, because everybody is going to be moving more and more into Civil 3D. All right, let's get on with the topic. We're a little bit long-winded there today, but that's okay. Here we go. We're talking about feature lines, and one of the first things I want to show you, for those of you who have been dealing with these types of things before, all I've done here in preparation, and again just to save time, I've made a feature line here, which basically is a pad at a particular elevation. There's another one, there's another one, and then I basically drew a feature line in here and down here as well. Now I'm going to get into how to do all that in a bit, but I wanted to show you this little tool. Once I drew the feature lines connecting, I could make the infill area here. In other words, that whole thing now is a pad, okay? And if you wanted to see that kind of a thing, let me just show you what I've done. I have a pad here that's all three of those. It's a sorry, I have a surface there that's all three of those. And if I go down here to the object viewer, then of course we can view this 3D pad now, and that's pretty typical. I mean, that's not unreasonable, okay, for going down some pads from on a bit of a hill. So that's what I've done, and that's my preparation surface. Now, the other thing that I did is I drew this feature line right here. And the only way I did that, and I'll show you this again a little bit later, I'm going to go ahead and delete that one for the moment. And I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay, so here's my toolbar for feature lines. This whole thing right across here, this is the new one, and these are all pretty powerful. After you use them a few minutes, you'll get used to what they are and what they do. But the first thing I did was go over here and I said, okay, let's draw a feature line. So that's, to me, that's a little bit easier than going up here to grading and pull down and do this stuff. So the buttons are kind of nice in this case, and I'm not a big huge fan of buttons because, as you know, coming from version 2, that's basically when you had to type everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now with the snap mode on, this makes it all quite simple. You'll notice that when I click there, it pulls the elevation, or I can hit surface to pull an elevation from a surface, and then of course I have to choose the surface. So that's okay. I'm going to leave that one at 791. Now these two corners are flat, so when I do that, you'll also see down here on the command line elevation 791, and the slope down here is 0. So I could change anything here that I want to. So in other words, I could go over here and enter the grade. Okay, so I could change the grade from the previous point to this point, and it would calculate the elevation of that point. I can type in the elevation specifically. I can put a difference. So in other words, I can say, let's go down 0.2. I want to drop 0.2. Okay, or on this particular one, I get a surface. So all these options down here are very critical, and you need to know that they're there. All right, so I'm going to hit enter for that one, and then of course I go to the next one. Now this one, see, I'm down 2 feet. I'm at 789. Okay, and of course I'm going to keep that, so it's telling me my grade minus 25 to 1. And then I'm going to go to the next corner, and there you go. So that one's also 776. Okay, there we go. Whoops, what happened now? Oh, I got an automatic rebuild on my surface, sorry. And then we got that one there, and then the final one over there. All right, and so these things are getting rebuilt as we go. That's all right. So now let's look at that line, and I'll just show you now. We can go up here to the grading editor, the elevation editor. The other way that you used to do that was to right click and go to the elevation editor. Well, it's right here now, so it makes it a little bit quicker. Okay, now I've got some problems here. I've got my O-snaps are all off down here. That's what's happened. That's why this surface is doing some rather strange things. So that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and fix it. And I can fix it here. This one being 789 and 786. I know this one's supposed to be 789. So if I click in there, I can do the 789 thing. Hit enter. And yeah, okay. But that's a little bit irritating for me, okay? I want to change this last one down here, but I'm going to change it in a different fashion to show you another one of the tools, okay? This time, instead of doing the grading elevation editor right here, I'm going to do the next one over, which is a quick elevation edit. Now when I do that, see, I can move any place I want, and as I move, notice the white box right next to it. See, that's 791. When I move over here, that's 791. That's 789. That's 789. Everything's cool. That one down there is 786, but this one down here is not. So when I click on it now, I can say 786, hit enter, and it'll change it. And you notice that it did exactly what I wanted it. So what happened was my O-snaps, I was getting the wrong thing in there, so to speak. I had some lines behind these, and so that's what happened. Now the other way I could have done that, notice when I've got my mouse up here, I've got the ability now to change the grade. So if I'm designing and I'm sitting here at 786 and I come down here at 786, when I come up here, see this grade is flat, okay? I've got a grade there of 0%. If I wanted to grade this pad going back uphill here at, let's say, 1%, as long as my arrow is pointing up that direction, see it changing from pointing down to pointing up, I'm going to go up here and hit, now I'm just going to click there, and it says what's the grade? Well, I'll go at, let's see, now I don't want grade, I want it slope. There we go. I want S for slope. I think I want slope. I always get those two backwards. Daggone it. Nope, I wanted grade. Oh well, that's all right. So we'll change it again. I do that every time, and it really irritates me. All right, so we'll go back to the grade of 2%, and that fixes it. That's a little bit better. Now you can see that the elevation at the back corner there is 787, and then of course 786. So the rest of these three corners are flat. And again, it's very easy to do this. See that now my grade there is 3.06. If I click and put in 0, it takes that elevation back. Boy, what a powerful tool, and what a great way to design things, just being able to use this one tool right here. It's probably one of my favorites that they've come out with, is just that one. But anyway, the bottom line is I've got now my line here is correct, and you can see that if I right click and go back to the object viewer, I'll just flip it straight up sideways here, and you can see that's a grade line now, a feature line that actually steps down at the front of my lots. And that's kind of cool. Now, one more thing I'm going to do. Whoops, let's not do it there. Let's do it let me show you where you would have done it. I would have gone here and gone to the feature line properties and changed the style. Don't need to do that anymore. The properties are up here. Come on. Feature line properties right there. Okay, so when I do that, now I can change whatever I wanted it to change up here. Okay, like my style. I'm going to change that to a, instead of these CRs, I'm going to go up and make it a corridor. Not a corridor daylight, because it technically is going to daylight back here to the pads. And so when I do that, now you'll see that that actually changes to that style of being a different color, and it might plot differently, etc., etc. We can always make them invisible. Okay, so when we finish all this stuff and we want to go out there and make it plot correctly, as I've taught before, you can make it get rid of these purple lines going this way. You can make it get rid of the grade lines that you don't need anymore, etc. All right, now I've got this feature line back here. Now, for those of you who don't know, you can have your corridor tied into a feature line. Well, that's kind of cool. Now watch this. I'm just going to take my corridor here. I'm going to right click and go to corridor properties. And I'm basically going to insert a region. Well, I'm going to split this. Sorry. I'm going to split this region, and I'm going to split it right there at that corner. Okay, so at that station, whatever it is, it's going to put in a split region right there, and I'm going to put in another one down here, and then I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see now that it's got 3 regions. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to hit OK for a moment because you're not going to see anything change, but I want to show you what I've done to the assemblies. Okay, the first assembly that I was using is this one right here. So it has the typical 2:1 to daylight over here and over here. And if you're not familiar with my naming convention, 32 foot wide, 6-inch curb and gutter, 4-foot sidewalk, 2:1 to daylight. Now I've made another one down here, and this title down here is incorrect, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to show you the real title here. I'm going to go to properties, and there's my real title. So I'm going to do a Control C on that one, jump back into my drawing and do a Control V. And that just basically puts my title back down there. There we go. So that's what this thing is called now. It's called 32 foot wide, 6-inch curb and gutter, 4-foot sidewalk, dash pads. And that dash pads only means that I've got a new item right here, which happens to be a subassembly. And when I created that subassembly, I put it as a title of left slope to pads. And that subassembly, let me just go down here and show you which one it is. That subassembly is on the generic tab, and it's down here called link width and slope. So I'm linking from some point here out to some other point by a width and a slope. Now, yes, I could designate the width and the slope, but in this case I'm not going to. I'm actually going to physically make this point of my assembly link to the other feature line that I drew down there. Okay, in other words, I'm going to have it so that from this point here at the back of wherever this sidewalk is, it's going to link all the way back to this. So it's going to grade this area right in here for me automatically. And that's the whole concept. That's kind of nice. And it's actually very powerful, because now if I change anything, I can change and I can raise and lower my corridor, or I can change and raise and lower my pads by this feature line here. And anything I change, the grading in between is going to stay the same. So it's kind of cool. Excuse me. All right, so let's show you how to do that. And when I right click again, go back down, oops, got two things selected, so that didn't work. Corridor properties. And this time all I need to do is change this right here to the 2-to-1, to the pads assembly that I talked about. And then of course I have to go set my targets. Now the reason I called that thing left slope to pads is because you can see you can have lots of stuff down here and not know exactly what they are, because sometimes these things are rather strange at the best. So first thing I need to do is set that as existing ground. So I've got all my target surfaces set, but this one right here now needs to know what width or offset target it's going to go to. And so if clicking right there, you'll notice that normally it goes to an alignment. This is how you, let's say, do a street widening. For those of you who've been through my advanced corridors class, you know. This is how you do a street widening or a right turn lane or anything of that nature. Well, in 09, they've come up with this new ability now to link to a feature line, a survey figure, and polylines. So that's kind of cool. Now all I need to do is say select it from the drawing, go get that feature line right there. And of course it gives me this warning here that says it's unnamed. Now I haven't told you about the naming feature yet. That's okay. But I want to name the feature lines using the default. I don't want to discard it, okay? I want to use it, and I can go back and rename it later. Right now it's just called feature line 2. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. Hit OK. So now this basically means that the width of this thing is going to stretch to meet feature line 2. Well, that's great. But now we have to also set this one down here, which is the slope or the elevational targets. So I do the same thing here, get the same one. Okay, they're both the same. Hit enter, hit OK, and now I've got all my targets set. Okay, there it is. This portion of this webinar that I'm doing today, that little 5 minutes that I did right there, is probably going to be on a YouTube video very shortly on my YouTube channel. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK here, and you're going to see what happens. And there you go. I mean, it physically went all the way out. You can see the red lines, the magenta lines, or whatever. Now the only thing I want to change, and I forgot about this one, I want to go back now and fix something just very quickly. I'm going to change the frequency at this particular region down to about 3 feet. I'm doing that for a reason. You don't have to, and you can do it if you want. It's up to you. Okay, so now it's much better, and I did that because otherwise you wouldn't have seen this slope in here. Okay, there's a slope right in here that you wouldn't have been able to see otherwise. So now I'm going to pick my corridor. Well, first things first, I'm going to save my drawing. I usually end up crashing this thing at least once throughout my webinars, so that's okay. All right, so I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to right click and go to the object viewer just so you can see now what it's done. All right, there's my object viewer. And if I flip it around here, let's move it up a little bit on that side. There we go. Let's move it up here and zoom in, and you'll be able to see here those pads. Okay, so it starts out as a straight grade down here, and you can see that it's physically doing its thing over here on the right side. There it goes down between the pads, along the top of the pad, down to the next pad. So I don't know how long that would take you to do by other methods, but this to me is just really slick. I totally enjoy that one. So, but then, you know, hey, I did this stuff by hand, so, and I'm older, so I have the right, and I'm allowed to get excited about some of this stuff. I know you guys have to pay for it, and you don't get quite so excited. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. All right, hopefully that helped you out with some of the information. By the way, let me just show you that if I do, in fact, raise this whole entire feature line, which by the way is another one of those nifty little tools up here, and it's right there. It's called raise and lower. And so if I click that now, I can raise this thing by whatever I want down in the command line. Okay, so I'm going to raise it by about 3 feet just so we can see some dramatic results here. Now, how would I have done that before, by the way? Well, I'd have to pick that, right click, go to the elevational editor, and then highlight all those lines. So I'd have to do a shift, click all of them, and then I'd have to go up here and hit the up button a couple of times. See, I mean, this is great. Okay, this is great being able to do this. But being able to do what I just did with this one button is even better, in my opinion. Okay, so now I'm going to rebuild my corridor. Oops. Not there, sorry. I always try to do that by right click. That'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Right click, rebuild. There it goes. Go ahead and save it again just to make sure. When I was preparing for this webinar, I must have crashed this thing 14 times just doing stupid stuff. But then I'm a little different from you guys. I like to play and do things bizarre. I'll take my elbow and bang it on the keyboard a few times to see if I can make it crash. Okay, we'll zoom in a little bit, and obviously you can see now that the slope has gone way further. Okay, I think we've beat that one to death. So that's the first part of our little webinar series for today. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to deal a little bit with something in the nature of a parking lot design. Now this doesn't have quite so much to do with the feature lines yet. Okay, it will in a few minutes, so bear with me for a second. But this is a really cool trick. I learned this online a while back, and I also saw it from a gentleman named Tench Tillman over at More Competencies Inc. He's the one that makes the templates that we're using for this thing. And he had this thing, and it just blew my mind when I saw it. And I don't know if anybody's ever thought of it, but let me just show you some tricks here they're kind of cool. I'm going to put in a parking lot right in here. All right, so there's my parking lot, but the fact is, my parking lot, I want it to drain in this direction at 2%. Well, if you'll notice back here, I happen to have this little label that says 2%. That's because I've made a feature line right here. Oops, let's get out of that. I made a feature line right here that was basically flat. Okay, and you can see that if you want. I can just show it to you. Oh, come on. I'm on a different... I'm on a different, hold on a second. What have I done? There we go. All right, we'll just do it this way. There we go. So the back line here is 789. Okay, so it's a flat parking lot, but it's not just a parking lot. This is something I call a master pad. And it starts at a particular elevations back here. I could have had it go 1% this way and 2% this way. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, watch this. If I've got this, and I've already got this pad out here, and by the way, it has been turned into a surface called master. Check this out. I just drew this in very quickly, polyline. I can go to grading and say create a grading feature line from objects. And then tell it to assign the elevations. And when I hit OK, it'll ask me which surface. So I'm going to pick the master surface and hit OK. Now, check it out. This thing slopes. This pad right here slopes this way at 2%. I didn't have to go in there and calculate anything. I'm sorry, that's just too cool. Because if somebody went and changed my design and said, well, we don't want the pad or the parking lot to slope this way at 2%. We want it to slope this way at 5%. Well, then it's a matter of I pick that up, move it around over here where I want it, and change the editing down to 5%. And guess what? Because this is associated with that master pad or surface, all I have to do is right click on this and tell it to go change the elevations on it to match the surface, and it changes everything very quickly. Now you can see that. You can see that because, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's right there. It's on the elevational editor, and you can see that it's done all of this stuff, and you can see that because it's not perpendicular to the surface, that the elevational grades have changed. So it's figured out that it has to go at 0.77 and minus 1.85. That's pretty powerful. It gets better. Watch this. I'm going to go in here now, and I'm just going to create a polyline. Now check this out. I'm going to go, well, let's see. Let's go something like this. I'm going to make a rather strange planter box. How's that? We'll come out here, and we'll go over this way a little bit, and we're going to make this humongous planter box. There it is, and now hit close. There's my planter box. Now, likewise, I can change that. I can do a create grading, a create feature line from objects on the same one. Okay, and there it is, and I'll go ahead and assign the elevations, and I'll assign it again to master, and now it's got elevations on it as well. Okay, and I know you can't see those. That's okay. I'm not worried about you being able to see them just yet, because you can always go to the elevational editor and see what those points are. By the way, if I click on any one of these, see, now I can see where it is. So the elevation right there is at 783.898, and if I go down, I can see that I did in fact go around this thing clockwise, etc. Okay, that's fine, but you know what, that's boring. That's kind of irritating to do, to be honest with you. So doing this way is much better. See, I can just go wherever I want and see. I don't have to pick any particular objects. I can just see what everything is all the way around here. You can see that it's sloping at 0.77%. It doesn't matter. And check this out. If I take that thing now and I hit the grip, any one of the grips, I'm going to hit the space bar a couple times. Some of you have never seen anybody do that one either. And I'm going to rotate this thing down, and then I'm going to move it down a little bit. And now when I click that one, notice there's another button up here that says elevations from surface. I didn't change any elevations yet, but all I have to do is hit that button right there and tell it to go get the new elevations from master, and it's finished. It's done. There they are. Okay, this is extremely powerful, and I'm telling you, you can have hundreds of points in your parking lot and change the design of this pad out here, this master pad, one time, and have basically pick everything in here to change in one button, and it will change. That's pretty powerful. All right, a couple of other things I'll just go ahead and show you real quick. Let's say the newer features that they've put on here. One of them is called fillet command. Let's see, where did it go? No. Where's my fillet? There it is. Oh, that's not it either. There. Sorry. Okay, so fillet command. If I pick this object here, notice that wherever I go, see, it hasn't done anything yet, but it's going to fillet wherever I'm closest to. So let's say I want to fillet that one. I just click there. Oh, you want to change the radius? Sure, just hit R down there at the bottom, change the radius to 5, and then we go down here and we've got shorter radiuses. Okay, so there's one there, there's one there, and it's maintaining the elevations at every one of these points. So it's recalculating this whole thing as we go and as we do whatever it is we want to do. So again, extremely powerful tools. Okay, so hopefully that helped you out quite a bit on as far as the pads and things. Oh, by the way, let me go ahead and do this one more thing. I'm going to take this one here now. That's the bottom of my planter box. I want to make a top of curb, so I'm going to make a curb around this thing. All right, so I can do that. That's this last button over here, and it's a stepped offset. A stepped offset. How far am I offsetting? Well, I'm not going to go straight up, because as we all know, if I put 0 in here, it'll probably blow it up. Okay, I mean, let's face it, anything divided by 0, any computer in the world's basically going to crash. I'm sorry, that's just the fact of life. Nobody's figured it out yet. So I'm going to put in, let's say, 0.1, or even better, 0.05. Okay, 0.05 offset. Oops, got 2 points in there. That'll blow it up too. 0.05 offset. There we go. And I'm going to specify which side, so I'm going to go inside. And what's the elevational difference? Well, if it's a 6-inch curb, then it better be half a foot. 0.5. There it is. Now I've got my second line in there, and it's right there. Now I can continue with this. I can pick that one again. Okay, so we can go back and do this command one more time and pick, come on, there we go, and pick, let's say 0.5, because it's a 6-inch thick curb as well. So 0.5, select the object right there, select the side, that's going to be again inside. Okay, and the elevational difference this time is 0. So you see, you got some pretty nice tools in here for doing this stuff. All right, there we go. And if you want to see them, we can do that. We can go up here to the object viewer as soon as I save. And there we go. Pick the object viewer, flip it up. And not like that. I'm standing and it's on it. There we go. And I think the best place to look for this is probably, there we go. So you can see now that I actually have created my curb. Okay, now I haven't done anything inside. That's okay, it doesn't matter. It is a feature line, so yes, I could go in here now and do an infill on this thing, and I can do whatever I want. In fact, I can even take that feature line now and grade up in towards the center here at 2% or 2 to 1 or whatever I want to make some planter boxes. I can put some spot elevations out there. It doesn't matter what you do. I'm trying to get you the concept on this one is use this overall surface back here. Yeah, you can hide it afterwards. You don't need to see it. Who cares? Okay, I mean, I've got it on here as master right now. There's some grading objects out here right now. Doesn't matter. Okay, I can still, and I'll show you this, I can still grab this thing, swing this point over here. It's probably going to, I'm being really dangerous here. I'm going to tell you that, okay? There you go. And then I'm going to move it. Okay, I'm going to move it down this way now. Now it's sloping this way at 2%. Okay, so what do I have to do? Well, I have to go out and get that point and that line in there, the inside line. Now it's not going to work for the two top ones because they're not associated with each other. But that's okay. You can do this stuff very quickly and easily. Just do all of that and make it attached to the elevations from the surface, and everything changes. And suddenly my parking lot slopes the other direction. That's pretty powerful. Okay, and let's move on. This is going well. There we go. All right, let's do one more down here. This one's kind of fun too. We get to do a little bit more stuff here. All right, so what I've got is basically a pad out here, and I'm gonna do some things like I'm gonna put the pad in. I'm gonna put a simulated driveway down through here, and just kind of show you some tricks on some more of these buttons that you can use. So we're gonna go make a grading object out of this thing, or feature line out of that object right there, and we'll go ahead and put it in. And no, let's not assign the elevations this time. Okay, I'm gonna do OK, and you're gonna see now. If you move over with the elevation button, you're going to see the elevations of 0. Okay, so this thing's still down at 0. That's not a problem. Well, what if we wanted to grade from, for example, from the back of curb right here? We've got a back of curb line right there. What if whatever that elevation was, we wanted to grade from that point, let's say up this way at, for example, 7%? Well, a piece of cake on this one. And this is I totally enjoy this command too. Set elevation by reference. Now watch this. I'm going to go there. I'm going to pick my reference point, and it is the back of curb. So I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. And whatever it gets right there, see, it tells me the elevation, 783.014, down in my command line. Now what object am I going to edit? Well, I'm going to edit this object. So when I hit that, notice what it's done. It's gone over here, and it's telling me right now the grade is minus 1261.36%. That's because it's going from 781 or whatever, 783 down to 0. Well, I don't want that. And I don't want to grade to that point anyways. I want to grade to a point right in here that's, let's say, perpendicular. So I'm going to do an I for insert, and I'm just going to go kind of perpendicular there. You could get perfect, but I'm not going to. I'm going to click right there. Okay, and now I've got that. What does it say? I'm going to specify the grade or the slope. Well, the grade I said was 7%. So when I hit enter, now I have a new elevation up there, and you can see it right there just by holding the mouse over it. It's now at 787.16. Uh-oh, did I go up or down? Hold on a second. It was at 783. Oh, good. Okay. So it was at 783 down here, and now it's gone 7% up to 787. Well, that's a good thing. And yes, I could go over here and do the same thing, and I could put a different grade in or whatever I wanted to do. But I just wanted to point out that tool first. Now, the next tool, of course, we've already done this one, but I'm going to show you how easy it is now to do this grading. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to start at this point here is 787. And instead of going out this way at minus 17, I'm going to go 0. Okay, now what's my elevation out there? Oops, I got ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. So there's my elevation there. Okay, and it is 787.186. And if I go out here and hit the grade, click, and then hit 0, see, it's also now at 787. I can go back this way now and hit click and go at 0. And now the front of this thing is at 787, 787, 787. What if I wanted to go back this way at 2%? Well, that's fine. Click there and enter 2%. Go over here and click, hit enter 2%. See, this is very quick, okay? And what about if down here, maybe I wanted to change this now. Maybe from this corner, because I know where my street's going downhill here, maybe I want this whole thing to slope this way at 1%. I can do that. Go this way here at 1, and go this way here at 1, and it's done. Now that changed the grade back here, obviously, to 1.38. But I'm just pointing out to you how powerful some of those tools are. All right, now let's go ahead and put some more feature lines in, and I'm going to go ahead and add one in here. And I'm actually going to go pick the beginning point at the back of my curb, like I told you. Let's say that was coming from the back of the curb at 781, and it's going to go up here to this point. And notice that it's already got the 787.635. Oh, I must have picked a different number because I've got 10.2. Oh, no, I changed the slopes up here, which would have obviously changed the slope of this. Sorry. So yeah, now it's giving me the 10.27, and I can hit OK. So now I have a straight grade between the top of curb and my pad. As an example, a driveway. I know it's more complicated than that. You have to remember, I'm an instructor, not a designer. Now, here's another cool part. I can offset this. That's a feature line. Well, that's okay. You can still offset it. So I'm going to make a 15-foot wide driveway. There it is. It's offset. Okay, that's great, but you say, wow, look, it's a problem. Plus, I don't want this line in here. How do I do that? Well, they've come out with some new ones up here. Here's one over here called break, right there. So I'm going to break this thing first, and it just works just like the regular AutoCAD break command. If I break here and here, it breaks that line out, and it still maintains all these slopes and all the elevations and everything. This is really cool stuff. I like it. Okay, yeah, that's great, but now I got a problem. All right, this one's cool. This one is not. Well, that's fine. Now they've given you a trim command. That's kind of cool too. So there's a cutting edge. Break that off. Do it again. Cutting edge. Come on. Cutting edge, and break that off. No, it's not going to work because I got my old snaps on. That's all right. There we go. Okay, sorry, I was hitting the wrong button. So now I have this nice little pad with a driveway up there, and yes, I could turn it into a surface, and yes, I could grade this thing down to daylight. Now, here's another interesting problem. That one's not the same as this. It doesn't matter. You can still add these feature lines together, and let's see, that would be right here. Join feature lines. So I picked the object, and I picked it to connect to this one, and I pick it to connect to this one. Oh, that one doesn't connect. Interesting. Okay, so now those are all connected. I don't know what I've done up here. That one's not connecting for some reason. How interesting. All right, let's see why. 787.62. Well, it looks like it should connect. I don't understand that one, but that's okay. Let's try it again. It's trapped there, yes. Okay, so now it is connected here, but not over here. So now we need to join it again. I had broken it before. Now the whole thing is one. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we've got that one, and of course we can save our drawing. And then we can flip that one up into a 3D mode and see that it does in fact slope down to the curb. In fact, you can pick the corridor as well as this, then flip them up. You can pick everything in here, it doesn't matter, and pick them all up and move them around to get to what you want to see. All right, so there you have it. We got a couple minutes to spare, and I don't see any questions coming in Ron, have you seen any questions lately? Yeah? Why am I not seeing questions? Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Shane says there's no sound. Have we not done this properly, and is everybody not be able to hear us? Well, Evans just clicked his hand on, so I'm assuming that everybody can hear me. Shane, if you can hear me, go ahead and click your hand again. If you don't click it, then I'm going to... Oh, there he goes. So apparently it lost sound for a moment. I don't know if it did it with everybody. Shane, I apologize for that. Hopefully you can be able to get to the webinar online and re-listen to it. So there you have it. I don't have any other questions still. So I'm going to go ahead and go back now to my slideshow for the moment. There we go. Additional information. As you all know, we have our website at youngsvos.com. cadpilot.com, that's the maker of the Jumpstart template. That's the guys who make the templates that I use for my webinars, and those things are pretty amazing. I have a couple of blog spots there, and also the youtube.com. Like I said before, if you go to this channel, you're going to see I've got a couple of little 5-minute videos up there now, and 5 minutes worth of this one will be up there soon. So great. That's perfect. So thank you all for attending this FeatureLines 101. Next week, of course, comparing Civil 3D to Land Desktop. Probably going to have several of you who don't come to see that because you're already fully involved in Civil 3D, and that's okay. But what we're going to do is compare certain things that are similar but yet slightly different. In other words, where is this in Civil 3D compared to where it is in Land Desktop? And what happens with this? And I haven't seen this, and things like that. And then also, of course, I'm going to go into some of the features of Civil 3D that are just far and away better than Land Desktop. So thank you once again. Ron, do you have any closing comments? Oh, okay. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. The sound was out, but it's okay. I got you. All right, thanks for letting us know that. And anything else, Ron? Very good. Everybody have a good day, and hopefully we'll see you in the coming weeks.